Week 7, gentlemen, opens up with Mike Tomlin and now the AFC North front-running Steelers on the road in Cincinnati, divisional game on a short week against Joe Flacco and the Bengals. Remember, Joe Flacco traded last week from the Browns, the man who started their first 4 games of the season, and behind that same O-line I just described was not that good. It wasn't all his fault, but he also, if you look at the advanced metrics, was ranked near the bottom of most starting quarterbacks in most categories in the league. He was flipped to Cincinnati for a 5th-round pick. Mike Tomlin, your thoughts?
What did you make of the rarity of seeing an intra-divisional trade of an experienced quarterback inside the division?
You know, to be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
Okay. Yet you don't ever hear that. You don't ever hear a head coach in season on the podium taking shots at another team's general manager. Now, look, maybe at the owners' meetings when big picture conversations are being had, maybe there's some shade thrown, but not ever that direct in season like we heard today from Mike Tomlin. My initial reaction was, yeah, he'd rather be preparing for Jake Browning this week. Instead, he's preparing for Joe Flacco. So thank you, Andrew Berry. You're making me prepare for Joe Flacco. But when he says maybe he's smarter than me and than us, because remember, the reporter there asked the question, meaning maybe all of you as well, it seemed a bit personal and uncomfortable. Charles, how'd you read it?
Yeah, I don't. Mike, the reason why he's not worried if it's smarter, if he's smarter than you or Omar Khan or the reporters in that press conference, was because it wasn't about you and it wasn't about the reporters. Had nothing to do with the Steelers. And again, I thought the same thing you did, Andrew. I was like, they got the Bengals on the schedule twice. So they went from facing a team with a crippled quarterback situation to what could at least be a competent quarterback situation. And that's a threat. I think the difference between Browning and Flacco in terms of experience and then also how the skill set matches up with the skill position players on that Bengals offense at least make the Bengals a bigger threat than they were prior to this. And look, I'll just leave you with this. Andrew Berry took the Browns over in 2020. Since then, they have 1 playoff win. It was against the Steelers. You know how many playoff wins the Steelers have since 2020? 0. None.
Wow, look at that.
So just check the receipts. I'm just saying. I mean, look, here's the thing. I want to be clear.
I'm glad you brought that up, Charles, because I do too. I respect them both, and I was there for that game yesterday. And if I have to hear the stat one more time about the Browns not winning that building in 23 years, I get it. Okay, they haven't won in the regular season there in 23 years. But I always point out the one game that did matter. In January of 2021, after the 2020 season, they did win, okay? And Ben Roethlisberger that night was sitting on the bench in tears at the end of the game. Now, there were no fans there. I don't care. They won the game. And as much as people in Pittsburgh want to compare T.J. Watt to Myles Garrett, yesterday T.J. Watt had the better game statistically, okay? That can't be argued, all right? They beat up on a banged-up offensive line, and when the Browns had to throw the ball every almost cursed, stinking play in the fourth quarter, that D-line and those linebackers teed off. But Myles Garrett still has 1 more playoff win than T.J. Watt. I don't mean head-to-head. I mean period. 1 more playoff win than T.J. Watt. Now I'm getting a little sidetracked here. I know. Tomlin doesn't want to have to face Joe Flacco. And one more other side of things. If you step back and you forget that it's in the division, which is hard to do. All of us, we agree, were stunned, right? You were stunned, Charles. Frank, you were stunned. We were all surprised when the trade was made. Yes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, right. You never see it in division. When you step back and you do look at the numbers and you look at it from a cold analytical position, if you can make the argument, how the heck did they get a 5th-round pick for Joe Flacco? Seriously? I love Joe.
Yeah.
I don't think. Matter of fact, I know it wasn't all his fault through the first 4 games in Cleveland. And I do think that he is somewhat set up for success better in Cincinnati with those 2 wide receivers than he was in Cleveland. But the Bengals have allowed more sacks than the Browns. At least they had before last week, right? So the Browns got a 5th-round pick. Oh, shit's a 5th-round pick. Fine. But they got one, and I don't know that anybody else would have given them a 5 for Joe Flacco. This trade would feel a lot different if it was to, say, the Arizona Cardinals, right? Out of division, out of conference. But Frank, unfortunately, it isn't. It's to the Bengals, and Mike Tomlin still doesn't like it.
Yeah, we all questioned it. Like, why would you help them? I think at the end of the day, the Browns are like, Joe Flacco ain't helping anybody, which is more of an indictment on the Browns that they, Mike Tomlin said it. Well, how could you do that? You pegged this guy to be your starting quarterback on opening day. Well, that was a mistake. Like, did you not watch the Joe Flacco tape from the Colts? Like, they literally benched that guy for Anthony Richardson after they tried to bench Anthony Richardson. And we're like, no, we can't deal with Joe Flacco anymore. Anthony, go back in. So, yes, the Browns, look, the Browns are going to do what they do. The late round pick swap, cool, great. I thought it was weird. They probably had their reasons for doing it. But I really don't. I just think it's fun. I'm glad. I think there needs to be more of this in the NFL. There needs to be more beefing. There needs to be more shots fired. Like, let's get the NBA level. Those guys don't care. They love letting it fly. Let's get the NFL involved in that a little bit. I love it. I thought it was great for Tomlin to say it.
And let's be fair here too. Like, you're taking shots at another organization. I just, like, to me, why? Like, why do you need to do this? Number one, like, what was accomplished here? And then number two, you've been through Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett. You drafted Kenny Pickett in the first round and then couldn't get away from him fast enough.
Justin
Fields, Russell Wilson,
Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph. And now, congratulations. Now you got Aaron, you got Aaron Rodgers working out well. Maybe you're feeling yourself here. But should you really be criticizing another team's decisions with their quarterbacks when you really haven't figured it out yourself in forever, since Ben Roethlisberger was a high-tier quarterback? I mean, it's just, here's the thing too. Like I said, I do respect Mike Tomlin. I respect Omar Khan, the general manager there. I know people in that organization. I just do not like, other than for what Frank said, the ability to sit back and eat some popcorn and be like, yeah, all right, this is getting pretty chippy here. And this on. Yeah, okay. But I mean, I don't like how he rolled it out there. I just think, I mean, from a standpoint of
it. Whatever. Who cares?
Okay.
The Cleveland Browns are mad at us. What? Maybe they're going to win sometime.
Frank,
in the next
you clearly don't like the
Pittsburgh.
Browns. We've worked together 2.5 months. Just say it. You don't like them.
I like the Browns. The Browns are good. The Browns are fine. I love their fans. I love you, Andrew. I'm just saying, like, who cares if the Browns are mad at you? What are they going to do? Like, oh no.
That is such a schoolyard.
Maybe they'll win 6
bully
games
attitude.
This year.
What are you going to do about it? Well, okay, we'll send Patrick Queen over to your house to elbow you in the head. He's really good at that.
Frank also,
okay.
Like Frank and I, we all work in a world too, where if some other journalist calls us out publicly, we lose our minds. Like we're rolling up into a Starbucks ready to fight right at the combine.
It's really good.
We're ready to do.
I don't know what you guys do. I haven't really seen you call people out. I, generally speaking, have a rule. I will never call out another broadcaster on Twitter. I just think it's low class. I will never do that. All of us sit at home, okay, and watch a game, or you guys reading other people's writing and go, what is that? All of us do it, right? We're human beings. But I'm not going to put it in the streets. I won't either. And I wonder, Charles, I wonder, do you read into the word smarter? Because
yes,
Kevin.
Absolutely.
Okay. No. Let me explain for those who don't know. Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, Paul DePodesta are all Ivy League guys. Okay,
Ivy League guys.
And there is some snark when things don't go well there from the outside. Like, Ivy League guys. Did you read that from Tomlin there? Because I think if that's the case, it's just ridiculous.
It's the same thing I hear about Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, right? It's the same thing I hear about Andrew Berry. It's the same. Oh, these guys could have gone to Wall Street, but they're smarter than everybody else, so they get these general manager jobs. Yeah, I think absolutely the traditional football track guys the maybe non-Ivy Leaguers. I do think there is some of that there. I think it's really interesting because that is always, whether it's Kwesi, whether it's Andrew, there have been some other guys in the past, but it's always they're smarter than everybody else. They're just smart.
Even Howie, by the way, a non-football
Howie, that's what I was
guy.
going to say. Howie Roseman was another guy that for years, Howie's just smarter than everyone. Well, what's Howie doing? I heard Howie today evaluate a football player on, NFL Network. How the hell can Howie evaluate a football player? He's never been a football player. I'm like, oh, just all right. So we're all right, great. Like that's how it's going to be now. Like I think there's some of that to it. Absolutely.
Since when was getting an education a bad thing? By the way, Kevin Stefanski played safety at Penn, and he was a damn good safety, right? Andrew Berry
played at Harvard.
Football
he played a corner at Harvard.
Right?
I mean,
yes.
Yeah,
Andrew Berry played football. Yes, they both played football. They happen to play football at Ivy League schools. They are football guys who just happen to be intelligent enough to get Ivy League degrees. So be it. Anyway, the Browns quarterback situation is, as I laid out, Dillon Gabriel is the guy, didn't get a lot of help. And the thing that is concerning here is that he threw the ball 52 times. Now, watching the game back today, the Browns clearly went 2-minute and shotgun and marched down the field at the end of the second quarter. They stalled in the red zone, which was the theme of the day, and they got a field goal out of that. But the Browns come out in the third quarter, tried around a couple of times with varying degrees of success, and then finally fall behind, and they just have to, throw nearly every down. But 52 times is not sustainable for Dillon Gabriel or any rookie quarterback, Cam Ward or any of last year's rookie quarterbacks. Yeah. And this jumped out on the page to me last night flying home. Derek Carr, and this is from NFL Network Research. They used to have an NFL Research handle on X. Now it's the NFL Plus Research, whatever. Derek Carr with the Texans in 14, the Raiders in 14. David was with the Texans. Derek with the Raiders, 54 and 56 attempts. Joe Burrow had 61 attempts in a game, week 2 as a rookie. That was actually a loss to the Browns. All those games were losses. The Browns got away from the run, and the Steelers did a good job. Let's tip the cap to the opponent. They did a heck of a job in shutting down the run, and at times mauled the Browns O-line, banged up or healthy. All of it. You need to put him in a better position. Shedeur Sanders, we haven't talked about this, was the surprise number 2 quarterback. I really thought it was going to be Bailey Zappi. It ended up being Shedeur Sanders. He would just be the better option. That's who they thought. But Stefanski made it clear today that Gabriel is still his starter. It's actually kind of an interesting matchup this week because you got the 2 Hawaiian lefties. And it's the first lefty matchup since I totally forgot. It's a Chris Sims and somebody game, how many ever years ago, whatever it was. It's a battle of Hawaiian lefties and a battle of 1-win teams here that badly, Charles, need a win.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about that. And I mean, it's, as you said about the number of attempts, the reason why that's always bad, and I would argue most of the time it's bad with veterans, means you're one-dimensional. Whatever game you're playing, you're absolutely playing one-dimensional football, and you're not supposed to do that. And, I would have thought the Browns would have had more balance. I was stunned that they, Quinshon Judkins, I think, had like 12 carries. It's not at all
12
what I
touches,
thought of. Yeah, I mean, not what I thought going into a Steelers game. But, you talk about the 2 lefties going against each other and Tua Tagovailoa and what's going on in Miami right now. Some messy situations definitely at quarterback. I don't understand why Kevin Stefanski has to keep reiterating that Dillon Gabriel is a starting quarterback. I mean, we just got into this. So are you going to give him time and go through the lumps, or are we going to start talking about, pulling the plug on him, which is why I was stunned. I thought for sure it was going to be Bailey Zappi as the experienced veteran backup. When it becomes Shedeur, interestingly enough, and I do think this is a question. When Shedeur was named the number 2 quarterback, I had some people from around the NFL ask me my opinion. Do you think that there's some kind of separation occurring here between what Kevin Stefanski wants and planned for and what the front office and maybe ownership wants and planned for? Because I think the presumption was that Kevin wanted a veteran starter. If a rookie was going to be the starter, whether it was Shedeur or Dillon Gabriel, he was going to make sure he had a veteran backup there. So to put Shedeur in that situation, everybody knows what it invites. We'll see ultimately where it goes. It's not the train wreck I think that Miami is right now, which is saying something. The difference is the problems in Miami are with a quarterback who's making what, $52, $53 million a year in Tua. Ouch. And the problems there that the Browns have already lived through that, and they're about to exit from that in a very difficult, salary cap maneuver. But, Miami moving forward with Tua, we can talk about what happened with Tua. Now I think there's some food for thought on the ownership level with the Miami Dolphins about what exactly is going on inside the organization, whether Stephen Ross needs to roll his sleeves up as owner and get in there and figure out exactly what the problems are.
We'll do that coming up in a second. I just want to clean up the note here, and it's from Jack Andrade, who is the man behind some of the great NFL research notes you do see. He's the guy that also leads up NFL Network's research team for the draft as well. Jack does an amazing job, and Jack pointed out last night, this is the first lefty-lefty NFL starting quarterback battle since Mike Vick and the Falcons in a division game against Chris Sims and the Bucks in Week 2, 2006. As Jack notes, to avenge a Sims over Vick sweep, Frank, in the 2005 season.
What a time capsule! Chris Sims, one of the great all-time guys. He's awesome to talk to. Chris Sims came through Denver. I really liked him. But yeah, just Mike Vick, one of the great, exciting players. Let's go watch. I'm sure that game's on YouTube. Let's go. Let's watch it when we're done here.
Real quick before we get out of here,
watch Mike Vick.
Real quick before we throw it to break, I just will tell you one of my most memorable early career, covering the NFL memories, was sitting at the Wide World of Sports complex during the preseason when the Buccaneers were working out, and just hearing John Gruden light up Chris Sims because he could not say the plays. He just couldn't get the play. It was some of the funniest coach ripping your presumptive possible starting quarterback exchanges I've ever seen. Poor Chris. I remember just sitting there being like, Chris Sims is in a nightmare right now. He's just living in a nightmare.
This is John Gruden and his love and then falling out of love with quarterbacks in a nutshell. It would go like this. Hey, I got to get that quarterback. So they get him that quarterback. And then a couple of weeks later, he'll walk into the cafeteria or someone's office and go, this guy sucks. Why do we have this quarterback? Coach, you wanted him. I need that quarterback. So they get that quarterback. 3 weeks later, this guy's awful. Why do we have this quarterback? Coach, you wanted that quarterback. Okay, I want this one. Then you get my point that it keeps going and going.